You recall that there is a federal OSHA, of course, and about half of the states in the nation have their own state-run OSHA programs. So when it comes to OSHA compliance in all things, whether it's training or something else, federal OSHA is the baseline under which everybody else has to comply. The state-run OSHA programs and their laws are over and above the federal OSHA requirements. So when federal OSHA decided to allow the states to run their own OSHA, they said, okay, states, you have to be as good or better than federal OSHA. So this means that state OSHA programs had to adopt the federal regulations because they have to be as good as, and then in certain areas and cases, they did better than the federal government. So for example, in my home state of Minnesota, Minnesota OSHA decided to make the hazard communication regulation that we just looked at a little bit better. So they adopted the federal hazard communication law because they have to, and then they added to it. Minnesota added training requirements around harmful physical agents and infectious agents, which is over and above the federal requirement, which only addresses hazardous substances. Or another example is a law that I co-authored on the operation of mobile earth moving equipment for the construction industry. No such law exists on the federal level, and it happens to have a training component. Or if you live in California, like Christy does, you might have heard that California OSHA just birthed a new law on workplace violence prevention. All of this to say that you need to comply with federal OSHA first, then find out if you're impacted by a state OSHA program, and if so, which of their laws has something to do with training. And depending on where you live, you could also have a local government, like a city or a county, that might have mandates as well. Or you might have mandates imposed on you by a funding source, like maybe a granting agency. So don't forget to ask about those where you have your operations. Your insurance carriers, like workers' compensation or property liability, they might have expectations of you as well.